And ladies and gentlemen, our ceremony will begin shortly. As members of the processional prepare to enter the arena, we again remind guests who are not part of the processional to stay in the seating sections and off of the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the 15th president of the University of Oklahoma, Joseph Harris Jr., and the distinguished members of the Platform Party. Serving as the University of Oklahoma Inauguration Chief Marshals are Senior Vice President and Provost for the Norman campus, Andre Denis Wright, and Vice Provost of the Health Sciences Center, Jill Raines, and OU Tulsa Interim President, James Sluss. Carrying the presidential mace in today's processional is Health Sciences Center Faculty Senate Chair Fernando Esteban Flores. And carrying the OU flag is Norman Campus Faculty Senate Chair Carrie Cornelson. Joining us this morning are members of the OU Board of Regents, Chair Michael Cawley, Vice Chair Frank Keating, Regent Phil Albert, Regent Anita Holloway, Regent Rick Nagel, and Executive Secretary of the Board of Regents and Vice President for University Governance, Dr. Chris Purcell. We'd also like to welcome those who previously served on the OU Board of Regents, former Regent Melvin Hall, former Regent Tom McCurdy, and former Regent A. Max Weitzenhofer. Representing the state regents for higher education, Chair Jeffrey Hickman. Representing the legislative leadership from the United States Senate, Senator James Langford. From the United States House of Representatives, Representative Stephanie Pice. We also welcome the Governor of the state of Oklahoma, Governor Kevin Stitt. Also in the Platform Party today, the University of Oklahoma Executive Officers, Vice President and General Counsel Anil Galahali. Vice President for Executive Affairs, Sean Brage. Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletic Programs, Joe Castiglione. Vice President for Research for Partnerships for the Norman Campus, Tomas Diaz de la Rubia. Vice President for Marketing and Communications, Mackenzie Dilbeck. Vice President for Online Learning, Greg Garn. Interim Vice President for Operations, Brian Holder Reeder. Executive Director for Government Affairs, Holly Hunt. Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Belinda Higgs Hypolite. Vice President for Advancement, Amy Noah. Acting Vice President for Research for the Health Sciences Center, Martha Ogilvie. And Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, David Surratt. Representing the Comanche Nation, Ms. Alice Casnavoid. And representing the Cheyenne Arapaho Nation, Reggie Awasa. Representing the Cameron University, President John MacArthur. Representing Rogers State University, President Larry Rice. Please help me welcome from the Oklahoma State Senate, Senator Mary Brown Boren and Senator Jessica Garvin. We now present the deans for each college. In the Oklahoma House of Representatives, Representative Marilyn Pell. We now present the deans for each college announced in their founding order. The Dodge Family College of Arts and Sciences, Dean David Robel. The College of Pharmacy, Dean Jolene Dragalis. OU Libraries, Dean Denise Stevens. The College of Medicine, Executive Dean John Zubialdi. The Gallaudet College of Engineering, Dean John Clear. From the College of Law, Dean Kathleen Guzman. From the Norman Campus Graduate College, Dean Randall Hughes. From the Fran and Earl Ziegler College of Nursing, Dean Julie Hoff. From the Weizenhofer College of Fine Arts, Dean Mary Margaret Holt. From the Janine Rainbold College of Education, Dean Stacy Reeder. From the Michael F. Price College of Business, Dean Corey Phelps. From the University College, Dean Nicole Campbell. From the College of Professional and Continuing Studies, Dean Martha Bantz. From the College of Allied Health, Dean Jane Wilson. From the College of Dentistry, outgoing Dean Raymond Colmia and incoming Dean Paul Malesteria. From the Health Sciences Center, Graduate College, Dean H. Ann Pereira. From the College of Atmospheric and Geographic Sciences, Dean Berrien Moore III. From the Honors College, Interim Dean Rich Hammerlaw. From the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communications, Dean Ed Kelly. And from the Mewborn College of Earth and Energy, Dean Mike Stice. Also joining us today is Norman Public Schools Superintendent Nick Migliori. Joining us in today's Student Government Association leaders from the Norman campus, Chief Justice of the Student Government Association Superior Court, James Hutchinson. Representing the Health Sciences Center, Student Government Association Vice President Eric Edwards. And representing the OU Tulsa Student Leadership, Student Government Association President Tim Phillip. We also welcome the Staff Senate Leadership, Norman Campus Chair Justin Daniels, Health Sciences Center Chair Heidi Pettit, and OU Tulsa Chair Angela Miller. Joining us today are delegates from the university across the country, Michael Ming of Stanford University, Stephen Heyman from University of Pennsylvania, Associate Dean Joseph Ty from Harvard University, President John DeSteiger from Oklahoma Christian University, President Tim Fulton from Oklahoma Panhandle State University, Dr. Russell Evans from Oklahoma City University, Lori Johnson Vegas from Penn State University, Dr. Thomas Newsom from Southeastern Oklahoma State University, and Richard Estes from Princeton University. Representing the faculty in the inauguration processional from the Norman campus, Kalinda Eaton and Heather Shotton. Representing the staff from the Norman campus, Kristen Airy and Kelly Dyer. Representing the staff from the Health Sciences Center, Nancy Geiger, Terry Henson, Carrie McCain, and Devin Newsom. And joining us from the floor, from the office of U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe, Spencer Hall, and Bryson Paunus. From the office of U.S. Senator James Langford, Estela Hernandez, and Derek Osborne. And from the office of U.S. Representative Mark Wayne Mullen, Caleb Cochran. And from the office of U.S. Representative Tom Cole, Will McPherson. And now please welcome the Native student leaders, faculty and staff and alumni bearing the flags representing the 39 Native nations dwelling in the state of Oklahoma. Bearing the flags of the international students, faculty, and staff represented in the University of Oklahoma community. Please welcome the student leaders of the University of Oklahoma. Also participating in the inauguration processional are members of the University of Oklahoma faculty. And ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of colors by the Kiowa Black Legging Society. And now we invite you to join the Faculty Brass Quintet and the singing vocal music education major Emily Chippendale in the singing of our national anthem.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets would give the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in expressing our appreciation to the Kiowa Black Legging Society for serving as our color guard, and to the talented faculty who make up the Faculty Brass Quintet, and to vocalist Emily Chippendale. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome OU Board of Regents Chair Michael Colley.
Thank you. Good morning. Mr. President, I grew up in Hooker, Oklahoma, and we would call this a real shindig in Hooker. And the trumpets blaring and everything, that's good. We are here today to celebrate the inauguration of Joseph Harris Jr. as OU's 15th president. Our special thanks to the delegates from other universities and colleges who are with us, especially those who have come great distances to be here. At this time, I ask our state's congressional delegation, represented today by Senator James Lankford and Representative Stephanie Bice, the governor of the state of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt, along with Oklahoma legislators and other statewide elected officials and tribal nation leadership, to please stand so we may acknowledge and thank you for your service to this great state and our nation. Joining today's celebration are many members of President Harris's family, including his wife Ashley, his children Joseph, Zara, and Jude, who we missed last night, Jude, because of the football game. Atta boy. Joe's mother, Mary Ann Harris. With us in spirit this morning is Joe's father, Dr. Joseph Harris. Also here are Joe's two sisters and members of their families, Sherry Comia and her husband Raymond, and their children Brandon, Derek, and Josh. Also his sister Susan Raup and her husband Steve, and their children Sophia and Preston Silvernail. Also here, are your parents here, Ashley? All right. Teresa and Bill Simpson, and President and Mrs. Harris' niece, Carly Tate. Thank you all for being here. Let's give them an applause. It is now my very distinct pleasure to welcome to the podium our United States Senator, James Lankford. Thank you. Welcome.
And I wouldn't concur, this is a real shindig. In the fall of 1892, 57 students enrolled at the University of Oklahoma to sit under the education teaching of 3 faculty. From our humble beginning in a rented building in downtown Norman, we now enjoy the earned reputation of one of the greatest academic institutions in the world. Our state, our nation depends on the University of Oklahoma for advances in research, in science, in energy, in medicine, in engineering, the arts, weather, technology, other innovation, and so much more. This is a world-class institution that can and should lead the nation in academics, athletics, and in character. University of Oklahoma prepares the next generation for the problems of tomorrow. Universities should help people think, but it should not require that we all think the same. A diversity of opinions, an honest examination of the facts should be a hallmark of a university that leads the nation, not just follows our drifting culture. This university is foundational to our state's economy and to our future prosperity. So Dr. Harrods, don't mess it up. Countless employers, employees, entrepreneurs, innovators have Crimson and Cream diplomas over their desk. The alumni are scattered across the world, serving people in practical ways on every single continent. The future of energy, justice in the law, the prediction of dangerous weather, the growth of our economy, the health of each citizen in our state, all depend on what happens at this university. This is a place where the future truly is determined by the actions of leaders and students today. And Dr. Harrods, in your early life, I understand that you were also a congressional staff member, which makes all of my staff a little energetic about that, quite frankly, and an inspiration for the future, though I cannot imagine why any of them would ever want to leave my staff, ever to do anything else. Thanks for your leadership, your wisdom. We ask you as a state, lead with wisdom. Use your influence for good. Set the example that others should follow. You are the president of the University of Oklahoma. Go shape the future. Congratulations.
We now welcome our next speaker, Governor Kevin Stitt, to offer greetings on behalf of the state.
Well, it is certainly great to be in my hometown of Norman today in Lloyd Noble Arena. Got great memories of coming here as a kid, watching some great basketball. You know, congratulations, President Joe. This is a monumental day, and I wanted to be here for my friend and a guy that I've gotten to know over the last couple years. So wanted to be here to celebrate with you and your family and all of our fellow Oklahomans. You know, as interim president, he served for the last 16 months. Before that, he was the dean of the Oklahoma College of Law. In that role, he endeared himself to all the law students with his honesty, his fairness, and his ability to connect with everyone. Even for incoming freshmen, he has a way of making everyone feel at ease, something I really admire about you, President Harris. You know, Oklahoma has been educating students here for the last 130 years. more than 21,000 undergraduate students every single year. And we're top 10 ranked nationally in programs including meteorology, petroleum engineering, entrepreneurship, and journalism. You know how much I like talking about top 10. So let's continue that and make us number one in all those areas. You know, students come to OU knowing they're going to receive a top-notch education. They're going to learn to be leaders of our communities. And when you come to a school like this one, you feel like you're part of something bigger. You know, not just because of the awesome football team, the one that's going to win tomorrow morning against Nebraska. I was actually in Nebraska last Friday and spoke to a group of business leaders and politicians and folks there in Lincoln. And if they said it to me one time, they said it to me about 10 times. They would say, "Governor, we've got 3 words for you. Go Big Red." Okay? So I want to be able to, I've got Governor Ricketts coming in, and he's going to be my guest tomorrow. And I can't wait to be telling him, "Boomer Sooner." I'm also going to, we have a nice little friendly wager. So Joe, you'll have to come over and eat, partake of the steaks that we're going to win off of Governor Ricketts tomorrow as well. But also, one other thing that really impresses me about President Harris, we reached out to him when we had a recruiting trip, and we were going to try to recruit a big company to Oklahoma. And he said absolutely, cleared his schedule. He jumped on the plane with us, myself and the Secretary of Commerce, and we flew to California. And we wanted to show a unified effort that we could produce the workforce that these companies need. And he did a fantastic job of selling the University of Oklahoma, selling our great state, and we ended up landing Canoe, which is going to bring 2,000 jobs to Oklahoma, and he committed to providing the engineers and the workforce for Canoe. So really, really proud of what you do, Joe. Proud of OU. You are training the workforce for today's companies and tomorrow's startups. So keep it up. Congratulations to you and your family, and let's go make the University of Oklahoma the best it can be. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Chair of the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education, Jeffrey Hickman, who will offer greetings on behalf of the education community of the state of Oklahoma.
Well, thank you all very much, Senator, Governor, Congresswoman Bice. Thank you for being with us. The members of the legislature, a former body I had the privilege to serve in, welcome this morning, and Chairman Cawley and the regents. Mr. President, First Lady, Joseph, Zara, Jude, Mrs. Harris, and all of the family members that are here, in addition to all of the administrators, faculty, staff, students that are joining us today as members of the OU family. It is an honor for me to be on this campus and in this arena to represent the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education as we do celebrate the inauguration of OU's 15th president, Joseph Harris, Jr. Dean Kelly, who was Dean of the Gaylord College of Journalism, my college, as a graduate of the University of Oklahoma Journalism School, caught me before I came in, and he said, "I hope your remarks won't be too long." I reminded the dean, as the former editor of the Daily Oklahoma that he is a print journalist, that I was a trained broadcast journalist, and if it can't be said in 60 to 90 seconds, it really doesn't need to be said. But I also thought our honoree today is a law school graduate who is trained to bill by the hour. So I'll move on to make time for the counselor who will be at the podium in a few moments. You know, the role of a university president really has no equivalent in other areas of careers. It has evolved in time from when most presidents of higher education institutions were clergymen who split their time between serving as administrators and teaching, to today's university president, who is seen as what you might call a Joe of all trades. Paraphrasing a comment from the former president of the University of California, Dr. Clark Kerr, the university president is expected to be a friend of the students, a colleague of the faculty, a good fellow with the alumni, a sound administrator with the trustees, a good speaker with the public, an astute bargainer with the foundations and the federal agencies, a politician with the state legislature, a persuasive diplomat with donors, a champion of education, a spokesperson, a scholar, a public servant at the state and national levels, a devotee of the arts and football equally, and a decent human being. Above all, the university president must enjoy attending stately public ceremonies, or shindigs, as some might call them, those of us from Western Oklahoma, like this one today. Today's president must be able to serve not only as the chief executive, but also the chief strategist, the chief fundraiser, the chief communications officer, the chief financial officer, the chief government relations officer, all at a moment's notice. And the university president must perform all of these roles in the context of increasing demands for accountability to a wide array of stakeholders with sometimes conflicting and competing demands from students, parents, faculty, administrative staff, community leaders, business and industry, key policymakers, and elected officials. You may notice on the OU seal that you see around campus the motto of the university, Sive et Republicae, for the benefit of the citizen and the state. I don't know that there's ever been a more important time, Mr. President, for your leadership for our state. The governor talks frequently about our critical workforce needs, and we've seen them magnified: nurses, doctors, engineers, cybersecurity experts, computer scientists. The need is great. Mr. President, you have been called for this purpose by your state. When you need a leader, the times have a way of finding one. The symbol of the university on that seal is the seed sower. Mr. President, this is your opportunity to sow those seeds. It is your opportunity to work with, I know, a willing partner in the governor's office, with willing partners in the legislature, in our congressional delegation, and the state regents, to sow those seeds that will leave a legacy for all of us, that will change the economy of the state. That's what higher education can be. That's what higher education has done in other states, and that's the opportunity before us today, is to change the economy of our state, the future of our state, and the future for the next generation. Regents, you have selected a person equipped to meet these challenges. I have known Joe almost 30 years, first as the centerfold in the recruitment guide that was sent to me when I was in high school to encourage me to come to the University of Oklahoma. I came anyway. And then as a much older alumni of Crimson Club who would be brought back to tell us how things used to be when we were students and share his wisdom and knowledge with us on campus. I had the privilege to work with Joe in all seriousness for several years here at the university, and I know the passion he has for this institution. President Harris has immediately crafted a strategic plan. It's been a little over a year since that plan was unveiled. Progress is being made as we speak. There's been growth in research, record freshman class, student successes, which is what is most important at a university. All of this directly speaking to the vision and leadership of our new president. I think I speak for all of us when I say he inspires us to continually pursue excellence. Mr. President, congratulations on this well-deserved achievement. The state regents and I are excited to watch and partner with you as this university flourishes, and thus our state flourishes as well. The stone outside the library, one of my favorite places on campus, says the spirit of learning is the lasting frontier. I don't know that it's ever been more true. The future awaits us. And Mr. President, we wish you and the First Lady, your children, Godspeed on this journey as stewards of this special place we call the University of Oklahoma. The baton is now passed to you. Live on, University.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the podium OU Board of Regents Chair Michael Cawley.
Well, in In May of 2019, the OU Board of Regents asked Joe to serve as the 15th president of the University of Oklahoma, and he declined. Instead, he asked to be named interim president, stating that the university needed a period of calm. Joe, we recognized and appreciated that act of statesmanship. And the university has indeed enjoyed a period of calm. Certainly not a period of inactivity, but a period of calm, and we thank our president for that. Joe, you have the skills, the experience, the mental acumen, and energy to serve in this role in a really terrific way. As you embark upon this presidency, on behalf of the Board of Regents, we pledge to you our willingness to work with you in creating a legacy of excellence for the university, creating opportunities for professional development and teaching satisfaction and gratification for faculty and staff, creating new opportunities and changed lives for our students, perpetuating the university pride, esteem, and confidence of our alumni, donors, and many friends, and in sustaining the University of Oklahoma as a beacon of excellence for Oklahoma and all Oklahomans. We wish you the best, Mr. President, and please come forward. You'll get it done. So I have now asked our president to join me at the podium. And Joe, I would like to say that by the powers vested in me by the University of Oklahoma Board of Regents, the State Regents for Higher Education, and the laws and statutes of the state of Oklahoma, and on behalf of my fellow regents, the University of Oklahoma community, and the people of Oklahoma, I charge you, Joseph Harris, Jr., to maintain the trust of all those who have come before us, to give of yourself and your talent, to preserve and strengthen this great institution, and to lead our students, faculty, staff, and alumni as one community united in the pursuit of excellence.
Mr. Chairman, thank you and the rest of the OU Board of Regents for this immense honor and for your faith in me. I deeply believe in our purpose, that we change lives, and the pursuit of that purpose through a life of service to our students, our state, and larger society. The impact of our university and its people can be traced the way back to our beginning, inspiring us to dream and aspire to heights not yet achieved. Together as a university community, we endeavor to become worthy of our past, the tremendous legacy that we've inherited, and deliver on our promise of changing lives for generations to come. I can think of no greater privilege than the opportunity to lead, to serve our remarkable university family. Mr. Chairman, with profound humility, but with great enthusiasm and confidence in the future, I accept your charge, and I accept the responsibilities of presidency of the University of Oklahoma. Sounds like a big job.
Joe, in recognition of your acceptance of this charge, I hereby formally install you as the 15th president of the University of Oklahoma. Joe, into your hands, why don't you all sit, yeah. Joe, into your hands is placed the administration of the university, and into your hands are placed the symbols of that authority. would OU student leaders James Hutchison of the Norman campus, Eric Edwards of the Health Sciences Center, and Tim Phillip of OU Tulsa please come forward to join me in the presentation of the Collar of Office. The collar of the office of the President symbolizes the links which bind the President to the faculty, staff, and students of our university. It also symbolizes more than 130 years of tradition, which joins all 15 presidents of the University of Oklahoma in a line of succession. The university seal in the center of the collar is affixed to each OU diploma. Today, our seal bears the likeness of our first president, David Ross Boyd, and the words in Latin that translate to, "for the citizens and for the state." Let it be a constant reminder of our mission of service to the citizens of this state, nation, and the world. Now for the presentation of the Presidential Mace, would Carrie Cornelson, Chair of the Norman Campus Faculty Senate, and Fernando Esteban Flores, Chair of the Health Sciences Center Faculty Senate, please come forward. Joe, I present you with the mace. The mace of the university bears the academic colors representing OU's degree-granting colleges in semi-precious stones mined from throughout Oklahoma. The mace of the university is a symbol of your authority and responsibility as president. As recognition that you are dedicated to upholding the academic mission of the university and acknowledgement that the faculty shares with you this responsibility, the mace will be received by our faculty senate chairs. I now ask our staff Senate chairs to please come forward. Justin Daniels of the Norman campus, Heidi Pettit of the Health Sciences Center, and Angela Miller of OU Tulsa. Joe, as a reminder of the responsibilities which you have undertaken and the charge which you have accepted, a document reciting the charge will now be presented to you by our staff Senate chairs. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the 15th President of the University of Oklahoma, Joseph Harris, Jr. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We're not getting by the hour.
Thanks. Thank you all very much. That was a lot. I'd like to recognize, and I'm going to, by the way, the chair just told me his last words were, you're not billing by the hour. I want to go over it quickly, but I do not want anyone to think that the speed is any lack of respect, love, and care and appreciation. But I want to say to you, Chair Cawley, Senator Lankford, Congresswoman Bice, who is here with us as well, Governor Stitt, the tribal leadership, the tribal nation leadership, Oklahoma legislators, and elected officials, true public servants all. My dear friend, Chair Jeff Hickman, and the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education, partners in everything we do, the Board of Regents, both today and prior, because once you're a regent, you're always a regent, for their incredible service to our institution. Delegates from other colleges and universities, and to those with whom I work every day, the students and the faculty, staff, alumni, and friends, and to all of my family that is here, which constitutes roughly 38% of this entire group. I want to say thank you so much for being here. There's no way to repay my thanks for your presence here. And when we talk about what our presence here is, it's important to understand what it is and what it's not. I'm very clear. It appears now I'm the 15th president of the University of Oklahoma. But there'll be a 16th. And there'll be a 17th. And so when we meet at times like these, when we gather for times like these, it is in no way about the individual. It's not even close, although I'll tell my kids it was today. And thanks for legitimizing me in some small fractional way in their eyes. But when we talk about why we have pageantry like this, why do we do this? The answer is because of the institution. You heard Senator Lankford talk about its roots. This morning when I got up and went to Boyd House, in Boyd House I woke up, went down to the study, and in the study of Boyd House, for those of you all doing tours later today, I hope it's picked up, but in there is the Secretary of the Oklahoma Territorial Legislature's signature that creates the University of Oklahoma. Now, it's dated Christmas Eve of 1891, which is not intuitive because the act creating the University of Oklahoma, we all know dates 1890. So why would it take that long to officially certify? Well, the reason is because the legislature, the territorial legislature passes it, but when they passed it, it had two conditions before it could be effective. Number one, the city of Norman had to provide 40 acres. And the other was the county, Cleveland County, what became Cleveland County, had to raise the sum of $10,000 to allow it to move forward. Huge budget issues, like $328 for blackboards. And it ultimately took a bond issue to make that happen. Now, the story is important because when you look, because of two things in that. So before statehood, right, statehood being in 1907, all those years before, it was clear one of the first acts the legislature had to do was to create a great university. And in the charge they gave that day, what they said from the legislature, the territorial legislature, is important. In that act, it talks about the object of the University of Oklahoma being to provide the means of acquiring a thorough knowledge of the various branches of learning. Those branches included the arts, letters, scientific, industrial, and professional pursuits, and importantly, and I think most critically, it includes the rights and duties of citizens. So that was the charge well before statehood, and it took not just an act of the legislature, but the participation of the city, the county, and so many more. And so when we get together and we ask the question, why would we do all of this? The answer is because these moments are about pausing just for a moment and rededicating and recommitting ourselves to the reason behind great universities, the critical nature of who they are and what they do for us. And how do we look at that? We look at that through three lenses. We look at great research universities, and be clear, research universities are not ordinary universities. For what our faculty does is not just transmit knowledge. What our faculty does is create knowledge. It touches our soul with creative activity. But it's this issue of the creation and dissemination of knowledge that is so essential to what we do and the role it plays for each of us. So think about it. In 3 areas, it's essential we have great universities. The first being for the individuals themselves. The second, for our state. And the third, for society. Let's talk about each one of those briefly. I can hear you, Mr. Chairman. When we look at these, I think about the story that led me here. I'm not just a university president holding this office right now. I'm a product of this institution. And I'm not just a product of this institution because I went here and sat in those stands in 1989 for graduation. Never imagining I'd wind up back here again. I can't move very far in this career. But I'm not just here because I was a student here. It was possible for me to be a student here because of my father and his father. So my grandfather, Nicholas Haruz, it was later Americanized to Harris, and yes, we can go by both. He was sent here for a better life at either the age of 9 or 11 from Lebanon. And he made his way to Oklahoma before statehood because there was work in the oil fields where he sold fruit and vegetables from a wheelbarrow. And he raised 9 children. And they weren't people of means. In fact, at times, money was so scarce that the older kids of the 9 kids took turns living in orphanages to make sure they could make it and be fed. And my father was the youngest of 9. And he was the only one to go past high school. And he had the talent to go forward, but not the means. And so what steps in? The University of Oklahoma. He goes on, receives his undergraduate degree from the University of Oklahoma, goes from there to medical school. Goes on to become an obstetrician, delivers over 12,000 babies in Oklahoma, and creates a life of meaning and impact. And so when we think about what does a great university do? What it does is it creates opportunity for those that have the talent regardless of the means that they have. And you know what's extraordinary about that story? Is that it's ordinary. That story is in no way special, and that's what makes it so extraordinary. And I get to see these students every day. 25% of this year's record-sized freshman class, 25% are like my father. First in the history of their family to ever go to college. And think of the impact that has. 1 in 4 of our students today is that. And I can give you story after story after story of those students and what they do. When I first started in this role, Marvin Rojas Javier, first generation student from Plano, it was the beginning of his sophomore year. He walks up and tells me he grew up in Plano. He lived in a single bedroom apartment with 10 family members. Couldn't afford to go to school, but found a way because of Great Public Research University. And not only was he successful at the end of his first year, but he came to me wanting to start a nonprofit to help those that couldn't afford to go to K through 12 education. And he did it. Right? Those are the stunning stories that take place here. And that is the role of a great research university. That's one of 3 roles. Right? The second is for the state. When you think about what propels a great state forward, it's a product of great research universities. And I can give you a solid hour on this, but I won't. When you think about what drives a state forward, think of those 3 things that a state does for its people. What does a state provide for its people? It provides 3 essential things. It provides for the health care, the overall health of the people. It provides an education because education is the catalyst to a better life. And it provides economic opportunity, conversation like the governor led, and successful efforts to get groups like Canoe here. Those are the roles. We don't have just another hospital or just another group of physicians. We have a comprehensive academic health system. That's the University of Oklahoma. What does that mean? That we have physicians nobody else can have, could have. Research physicians that provide research-based care, that save lives here in Oklahoma that would otherwise be completely unavailable. Our clinical trials at Stevenson, our effort at Harold Ham Diabetes to find a cure for diabetes. One of my closest family members last week looked around the country on where to go for her diagnosis of cancer. And the answer, like 1 in 6 Oklahomans, 1 in every 6 Oklahomans that gets cancer turns in need to the OU Stevenson Cancer Center. Not because they're just the best trained, but because they bring the power of research and clinical trials to the table. Right? It's the economic development that comes. It's the engine that works together. But just like that charter, the University of Oklahoma is not sufficient on its own. It has to partner with our federal delegation, with our state delegation, with the governor. Right? We are necessary but not sufficient. And so we must work together always and never adopt an arrogance that we single-handedly can do it, because we will not fulfill our commitment if we think this is a solo act, because it's not. The last piece, and if you were here last night for Pulitzer Prize winner John Meacham's speech, he talked about the third role of a great university, that role of preparing our students for civic life. Right? That was noted when they talked about that in the territorial grant, right? Preparing our students to be citizens. Right? This great experiment in democracy is not self-propagating. And those that lead that come from these institutions. So whatever it is that our students pursue in a comprehensive research university, the one thing they all have in common is they are citizen leaders, and we have a role in that. And we have to answer the call that exists at that time. And right now, that call is a divided society like we haven't seen in decades. And so what do we teach our students? Do we teach them to reflect society? Or do we have them be our better selves? And the answer, of course, is the latter. And that's one of the purposes of a great research university, is that we do that for all of our students. And the first thing, regardless of what your view is to not say you can't understand people of the other political party. To reject people out of hand, to say what they have to say is of no value, is the perfect formula for the demise of our democracy. Instead, we as a university have to recognize our role, which is to make sure that we teach understanding, not agreement, but understanding. If you don't understand someone else's view, politics or otherwise, you're not trying hard enough. You don't have to agree, but we have to understand so we can communicate and keep this experiment of democracy moving forward. And so we stand here at this point, and we look at this great institution and what it does for a state. And we stand here to celebrate, and I look at it with unbelievable optimism. You have our propaganda piece in your hands. Go home and read it. But it lays out all of the remarkable things being done right now, where we stand. Record class size for our freshman class, 25% first generation and their families. Because of our faculty, our research expenditures have never been greater. Yesterday, we had a ceremony. If you couldn't be in there, we named the largest college at the university, the College of Arts and Sciences. And I believe that William Wallace, Norman, Joan Wilson are here, but we named it the Dodge Family College of Arts and Sciences. Named after Homer Dodge, a former professor here who became department chair in physics in 1919, who has gone on with this latest gift to ensure the University of Oklahoma in physics is in the absolute lead, walking into that space of quantum physics and engineering to create the discoveries that will drive this state, our nation, and our world to better places with remarkable leadership. The other half of that gift went to the College of Arts and Sciences, focused on scholarships for our students. And so as we're here today and we think about where do we stand, it's with unbelievable optimism. There are so many positive things going on. And yes, we have challenges. The key is that we do not shrink from this challenge, that we understand the 130 years that we received as a gift, and that in whatever time we have in these roles, as faculty, as staff, as students and leaders, and friends of the university, that as we think about that what we have is a collective obligation. You saw how long I held that mace. First of all, it was super heavy. But I immediately took it and handed it back to the faculty When you look at how a great university works, it is understanding this is not a solo enterprise. This is not a singular leader. It requires a commitment from all of us working together towards those common goals and purposes. There's a reason behind shared governance. There's a reason for protection in each of those areas. There's a reason we all gather. And it all pulls up to our purpose. Right? What does the university do at the end of the day? And the answer is we change lives. We change lives. And the debt I have, I can never repay. The debt I have, I'm the ultimate beneficiary. My father was allowed to come here. I was allowed to come here. If my kids play their hands right, starting with Joseph, they'll come here. Zero pressure. But as we look at this and I think about it, where do we want to spend our time? Where do we want to commit ourselves? And the answer to me is with great institutions like the University of Oklahoma that have a profound impact. And the stakes are high, and the challenges are great, and the work is hard. But I know, without a doubt, we can do it together. And in a minute, we're going to have a song, which I'll introduce in just a second, and then ultimately we're going to have the chant. And in that chant, the last words, and you heard them from Regent Hickman, the two words are live on, right? Live on university. And that every time needs to be the challenge we accept, because it does not move forward by itself. It moves forward by all of us working together. We're going to hear a song in a minute. As you can imagine, I wasn't very involved in a lot of this. But one of the questions was, what song would you want to have right before we head into the closing and the chant? And I thought, you know what, something optimistic. It has been an absolutely brutal last year and a half, right, for everyone. Everyone is exhausted as we work our way through this pandemic. When you talk about how does the university live on, David Levy, our great historian, at the start of the pandemic, the question raised to him was, where will this stand among the major events that have come onto this university in terms of challenges? And I thought he might compare it to one of the world wars. And his answer was, this pandemic will compare to nothing, with the exception of maybe the Dust Bowl, in terms of the impact it could have. We came to critical decisions with great anxiety over the last year and a half. The question was, would we go fully online? Would we actually have students in housing the next year? We accepted the challenge, and so many individuals that are not up here, not getting the fancy hat and the mace and the necklace that we call a collar, but they work night and day to make sure that that life-changing experience was still provided to that generation of students. It is that determination that gives me incredible optimism. And so as we ask the question, is our job difficult? Yes. Is the challenge high? Absolutely. Are we up to this? And are we prepared to pass on to the next generation a university better than we received it? I'm 100% convinced the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And so I say we'll now move to a song of optimism and hope that I know are better days ahead. And I want to say thank to all of you all for being here. It means the world to me. I can never repay it. And let's just go with Live On University.
Here comes the sun.
And thank you to members of the OU Choir, Michael Stafford and Dr. Richard Zaleski, for that moving performance. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the podium OU Board of Regents Chair Michael Cawley.
Thank you. Really, really well done. Nice selection, Joe. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating in this historic event, inaugurating Joseph Harris Jr. as the 15th president of the University of Oklahoma. Following the ceremony, we invite you to join us for food, music, and fun at the university celebration being held on the South Oval, followed by tours of Boyd House this afternoon. Shuttles will be available to and from the celebration. I now ask you to please stand and join the faculty brass quintet and Emily Chippendale in the singing of the OU chant, followed by the singing of Oklahoma to conclude the inauguration ceremony. Following Oklahoma, I ask that you remain standing until the platform party has completed the recessional. Thank you sincerely for joining us today for this very special occasion.
Thousands
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming and have a great day.